Good morning, students. Welcome to the second term of the history subject. Today we are going to study lesson number 7, the administration of the Swaraj. Refer to the textbook page number 29. As we know, Shivaji Maharaj founded Swaraj and he got himself crowned. After the coronation, Maharaj went for the Dakshin Digvijay, that is the southern campaign. Swaraj expanded the areas of Nasik, Pune, Satara, Sangli, Kolhapur, Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri, Raigad and Thane districts of Maharashtra. It also included the parts of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu states. To ensure the smooth management of the affairs of the Swaraj and work for the people's welfare, Shivaji Maharaj set up an efficient administration which was called as Ashtapradhan Mandal or the Council of the Eight Ministers. At the time of the coronation itself, Shivaji Maharaj appointed the council of 8 ministers and this administration was being divided into 8 departments. Each department had a head. Maharaj only had the power to appoint a minister or to remove him from the position, and these ministers had to answer to Maharaj for the administration purposes. Shivaji Maharaj selected the council of the ministers based on their merit and achievements. Salaries were being given instead of jagirs, watans or gifts or fees. Fees means land. Now let us learn who was the Ashtapradhan Mandal of Shivaji Maharaj. Moro Trimbak Pingle, he was the Pradhan. And what was his work? He had to look after the administration. Ramchandra Nilkhand Majumdar, he was the Amatya, he used to keep the accounts. Annaji Dato, he was the Sachiv, he used to look after the royal edicts or the royal official orders. Dattaji Trimbak Vaknis, he was a mantri and he used to look after the royal correspondence. Habib Ram Mohite, he was a senapati. He used to look after the army and defense. Ramchandra Trimbak Dabir, he was a sumant, he used to look after the foreign relations. Niraji Raoji, he was the Nyayadesh, looking after the justice. Moreshwar Pandit Rao, he was the Pandit and he used to look after the religious matter. Now let us study about the policy regarding the agriculture. As we know, the agriculture was the main occupation in villages and Maharaj knew the importance of the agriculture. Therefore, he paid attention to the welfare of the farmers. He gave the responsibility of the land revenue system to his capable and experienced officer, that is Annaji Dato. And he also warned the officers that they should not collect more revenue than the amount which was been fixed. He encouraged the farmers to bring uncultivated land under cultivation, and suppose if the crop was being destroyed due to excessive rain or drought or the enemy attack, then concession was being given in the land revenue and other taxes. Maharaj instructed his officers to provide peasants with bullocks, plows and good seeds for sowing. Now let us learn about the village economy of that particular period. As we know that agriculture was the backbone of the rural economy. But apart from agriculture, many occupations was being developed to supplement the agriculture. Now the artisans in the village, they used to produce the goods and they used to fulfill the needs of the local people. Therefore, village was self-sufficient. Farmers used to give a definite share from the agriculture produce to the artisans and this share was called as balut. Now let us learn about the trade and business. Now Maharaj knew that a kingdom would not prosper without an increase in trade. Therefore the merchants used to bring noble goods and the necessity goods into the kingdom. If goods become available in plenty, what will happen? Trade will increase and it will add to wealth. Now Maharaj's view regarding the merchants can be seen in Agnya Patra, where the merchants are being described as the ornaments of the kingdom and glory of the king. Maharaj also tried to protect the industries. One good example we can see of the salt industry. He protected the salt industry in Konkan. At that time, traders imported the salt from the Portuguese territories and they used to sold in Swaraj. So it affected the local trade in Konkan areas. Maharaj came to know about it. Therefore, what he did, he charged heavy duty on the salt imported into the Swaraj from the Portuguese territory. Therefore, the intention behind it was what? That the salt imported from Portuguese territories would increase and as the result what happened? The import would decrease and the sale of the local salt would increase in the Swaraj. Now let us learn about the military organization. Now as we know that military organization was being divided into army and cavalry. In army we had Havaldar and Jumledar. In cavalry we had the Shiledar and Bhagir. Now the chief of the infantry was called as Sarnobat. He was the highest officer in the infantry. In cavalry also we had the highest officer known as the Sarnobat. Now Shiledars had their own horse and weapons. The Bhagirs were provided with the horse and weapon by the state, and the Bhagirs were more in number. The famous Sarnobat of cavalry was Netoji Palkar, Pratap Rao Gujar and Hambibrao Mohitte. Now let us learn about the intelligence department. Now, to protect the Swaraj, it was necessary to keep a precise and correct information about the movement of the enemies. Therefore, it was the job of the intelligence department to get the exact information and provided it to Maharaj. At that time, Bahirji Naik was the head of the intelligence department. He was extremely skilled in his job. He collected accurate and detailed information about the Surat before the raid on Surat. Now forts. Forts played a very important role in the medieval age. Now the possession of the fort made it possible to keep an eye on the surrounding area. And if the foreign invasion is there, of the foreigners attack the Swaraj, it was possible to protect the people and take them to the shelter in the fort. And in the fort it was possible to stock with food grains, war materials, ammunition and military garrison. Now the importance of forts in the foundation of Swaraj is being stated in Agnya Patra. This kingdom was being created by the late revived means respected and exalt majesty forts alone. At that time in Swaraj there were 300 forts. Maharaj he spent a considerable amount of money on building and repairing these particular forts. He built hill forts like Pratapgarh, Pawngarh and Rajgarh. Now there was Kiledar, a subnis and Kharkanis on every fort. Now the job of the Kharkanis was what? To look after the storage of food grains and maintenance of the war material on the forts. Now let us learn, do you know? The description of the building of the forts by Shivaji Maharaj in his treatise that Buddha Bhushanam, which was been composed by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, is as follows. Shivaji Maharaj built many impenetrable forts on the ridge of the plateaus in the Sahyadri mountain ranges in many places from Karnataka up to Balan. The intention behind is what? Only to protect this particular earth. Under his successful leadership, these forts were built from the banks of the river Krishna up to the hill, up to the sea in all the four directions. In the Rairi fort, Raja Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj remained on the forefront among all kings and was also victorious. Now let us learn about the sea fort. Maharaj had a good foresight. Therefore, he knew the importance of the sea fort too. Therefore, he built Sindhudurg at Malwan. It was an excellent sea fort, and to give this particular fort the strength in the construction of the fort, 5 khandis of lead was being poured into its foundation. Another sea fort was called Padmadurga, which was built in front of the Rajapuri just to face the Siddhi power. About this particular fort, Maharaj has said in his letter that by constructing Padmadurga, he had set up another Rajapuri to overshadow the Rajpuri of the Siddhis. Now let us learn about the navy during the time of Shivaji Maharaj. Now enemies from the west coast of India, like you can see Portuguese of Goa, the Siddhi of Janjira and the British factors of Surat and Rajapur, they were creating obstacles in the work of expanding the Swaraj. Therefore, it was very necessary to stop these activities and to protect the west coast. Therefore, Maharaj he raised a navy. He realized that one who controls the navy controls the sea. Therefore, Shivaji Maharaj built the sea forts. Now there were 400 ships of various kinds in his navy. Now the battleships were like Gurab, Galbat and Pal. Ships were built in the creek of Kalyan, Bhivandi, Vijaydurg and Malwan. Some of the chief naval commanders were Mainak Bhandari and Daulat Khan. Now the concern for the welfare of the subjects. Maharaj always worked for the welfare of the subjects. And his ambition was not only to conquer the enemy's territories but to bring peace and make his subjects independent. He was also aware that if the subjects have to be happy. It was necessary to give them freedom, disciplined administration, and take proper care of the people and protect them from the conquered territories. Therefore, we can say that the Maharaj was not only a ruler, but he was also a very good administrator who cared for his people's welfare. And this is clearly seen in his administration of the states. I hope this lesson is clear to you all. If any problem, kindly contact.